My name is Marshall. I am the moderator and the facilitator of the Experience More tour. And what I get to do is talk to really cool people in the outdoor industry. And tonight we have with us Brooks and we have Dylan, who's just got this great energy, great experience. I think he's going to get you all very stoked on Brooks tonight because he sure gets me stoked on Brooks. Dylan, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Marshall. Yeah, I'm stoked to be able to talk to you all and chat about some Brooks and the amazing Gore-Tex products. So let's get after it.
Yeah, welcome, Dylan. And so you are a guru at Brooks, and what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so I am the guru of San Diego. Even though I cover all of Southern California and Arizona, which is, in my opinion, the best territory in the country, maybe even the world. But what a guru is we have three main goals. We go out every day, we visit accounts, we do clinics, which is similar to this, whether it be digital or in person, and we educate various people on all the amazing Brooks products and all the things we offer. But the favorite part personally about my job is the third pillar, which is events. And the events is really where our creative freedom can come in. And yeah, you can see a picture here where we can combine and bring together a bunch of different communities that may not have been, interacted with before. So we utilize the transformative power of the run and an incredible brand that allows me to do these incredible events and bring them all together and just have fun and enjoy getting outdoors.
Yeah, and one thing Brooks brings is the stoke, right? You guys bring this excitement, this happiness, even a little silliness around all of this, and so you get to go out and work with folks and share that stoke, right? So these are some of the
Right.
different groups you've worked with. Tell us a bit, like, what you love doing with your job, like beyond events, like how interacting with people. What do you learn? What really keeps you motivated?
I think what really keeps me motivated, you look on the photo on the right, that's a demo run I did with like five different communities, and it was a sports bra squad day. And the whole idea behind that day was to empower women to run in whatever makes them feel comfortable, whether it's a sports bra, a tank top, a jacket, a vest, who cares? But just to empower you to do what you want to do. And my favorite part about the job is getting to talk to these people and hear their story, because everyone has a story and you don't always get to hear it. So being able to hear these stories and see what they came from is always really intriguing to me. And that's probably, aside from all the amazing products we do, that's probably my favorite thing about the job.
Yeah, those stories are great, right? And that's a really cool thing about running is how accessible it is, right? You
Yeah.
really just need a pair of shoes and off
Yeah.
you go, right? You can run on the pavement, you can run on trail, you can run somewhere in between. You just get out and try. And really, if you start walking slash running, you're doing it, right? And
Yeah.
it's pretty fun. So you're out there to support folks in that, whether they be retailers, whether they be run clubs, or even at the individual levels with this team called Gurus,
Yeah.
which is got to be a great job. So how did you get this job? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so honestly, if you look at the bottom left corner, the guy in the banana suit, his name is Casey Evans. He was the previous San Diego guru in SoCal. And I just reached out to him. I saw the posting on LinkedIn. I reached out to him and I was kind of asking about Brooks because I didn't know much about the company in terms of working for it. I knew the product and knew it was great, but I didn't know how good it was to work for the company. And I reached out to him and he was like, "This is the best job I've ever had. Brooks is absolutely incredible to work for." And he really put me onto the job and made me really want to go all in and commit to this is what I want to do. And ever since I connected with him, it's kind of been just like a snowball effect of meeting better and better people. Everyone at Brooks is, I mean, honestly incredible. Jacqueline, who's on the call, she's awesome. Everyone's just so nice compared to other places I've worked, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So I hope they like me.
I think they do. So Dylan, let's transition then from like what you do in your job and all the stoke you bring to some of the knowledge you have around products. And we want to highlight the Gore-Tex footwear on this call, and there are four styles this season, bringing the adrenaline as a new Gore-Tex style for this season. So we're gonna
Yeah.
comb through all these and really take a look at what's new and what's updated, and kind of help parse some of these products. So
Yeah.
let's begin with just an absolutely iconic piece, the Cascadia. Been out there
Yeah.
for many, many years, taking folks all through the mountains on trail runs, ultras, you name it, right? This is the workhorse of the trail category. What
Yeah.
makes the Cascadia so special, in your opinion?
Yeah, so what makes the Cascadia so special, as you can see, I mean, it's on its 18th version, so it can now vote, which is awesome. It's getting old. So it's clearly a good shoe. But the really unique thing about the Cascadia is that it has this thing called a trail adapt system. And shout out to Marshall and Ben for giving me this cutout. They took a buzz saw. You can really see. So the trail adapt system, it includes this plate right here that protects you from extra debris and rocks, because this is intended to be kind of like the mountain trail shoe. So this more aggressive trail shoe is perfect for mountain trails and things alike.
Okay, so it's got that trail adapt system built into it, right, to kind of
Yeah.
protect you from the trail. And so that's an update for this season into
Yeah, so
this
this
rib.
has our DNA Loft V2, which is I like to call it DNA Soft. It's a super soft, durable foam that we use in our midsole, and it's great. It's probably my favorite foam next to probably our Speed product, just because that makes me feel a little bit faster. But it's a great product for the trail because it's extremely durable. Moving on to the upper, you can see all of our Brooks products we're going to speak about today. They have that beautiful Gore-Tex Invisible Fit, which is the bonded membrane, which Marshall will speak about a little bit more later. But you also have the protective mesh. So we have these overlays in high wear areas, for example, in the toe cap, so to protect you from extra debris. You can see Courtney here on the right. She loves to, this is, I think, her favorite trail shoe that Brooks offers to use out and about on the trails. I really like to use it when I'm going on more mountainous trails. We'll talk about my favorite trail shoe later on, but this is a great trail shoe for those people that are using more technical trails.
Right. So getting out there, really getting after it, long days out, rugged trails.
Yeah.
And the outsole pattern reflects that, right? Like
Yeah.
intense lugs to create traction, which is what you need here. But it's got us a lot going on this outsole. What's special about this?
Yeah, so you'll notice, like you mentioned, Marshall, the lugs. Those are 4.5 millimeter lugs. So great terrain or great traction on wet and dry terrain. But you also have this trail track green outsole. And this is actually made from up to 25% recycled material, which is incredible. I mean, we're offset it's carbon neutral, which is good for the environment. But the really key thing to look in here is you see these six almost zonal pods here
Mhm.
in the outsole there. And the beautiful thing is that it adapts to the trail. So if it were a flat shoe, you would just, let's say, land on a rock and it would just, you'd kind of topple over. But thanks to these flexible pods, you can kind of roll over the terrain at a more smooth manner.
Right. So those six zones make it feel a little more stable as you hit
Yeah.
rocks or out there on the terrain, but still a firm enough midsole, like you said, that V2 midsole foam to give it a little bit of firmness, right? So you can feel
Yeah.
what's going on the trail and have a little more stability, maybe even if you get off trail slightly.
Absolutely.
Right, the Cascadia there. So this is now up to version 18, and as Dylan referenced, right, this contains Invisible Fit, and Brooks was really an early adopter of the Invisible Fit technology. It was created for running specifically, and Brooks said, "Yeah, we're a running company. We're all in." Y'all tuned up your factories relatively quickly and got involved in the Visible Fit story from the beginning, which gives you a lot of experience in creating with it. And so what that means is that our membrane is directly bonded to the upper mesh of this technology rather than being like a booty technology that you see on the bottom right. So really with the goal here of creating a Gore-Tex version of a shoe that fits and feels the same as the non-Gore version, or I might call the inline version of a shoe. Right, we want to be able to have athletes, runners, be able to swap it out based on maybe the variations that they're going out for the day, and not really have not notice a difference, so that when they go out running, they can have the protection that Gore-Tex offers. And so you can see here, well, almost hard to see here where the membrane fits in. And then one of the things I really love that Brooks has done is you all have opted in to a non-dyed liner. So if you look at this liner being white, that's a white knit on the interior of that, very lightweight material. It's white because it's undyed, and so not using any water, any chemicals in that process for that interior recycled nylon interior. So another cool option that Brooks opted in on this product, and so all that kind of comes together to create this like really seamless integration, and we're going to see this throughout the line that we're talking about tonight. And so they call it out Invisible Fit, so that helps us to remember it's on there. And then the other way to look is like Invisible Fit does allow a brand like Brooks to add a drop liner into the heel area of the shoe. And what that allows for is again the same fit and feel as the non-Gore shoe, because it'll have that same drop liner in the non-Gore version of this. So if somebody loves the Cascadia, get them into a Gore-Tex pair for when they anticipate getting into wet ground conditions, which is probably what we're going to talk about next year as we get into the next shoe. So that's Invisible Fit technology and how Brooks integrates that, and that's the Cascadia. So let's move now into the Divide, which is a slightly different shoe. It's still for the trail, right? Right, Dylan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Marshall, you like to call it the City Plus kind of version. So the Divide 5, it's a more affordable option, but it's still incredible on trails. You look at the shoe, it has a more of a road shoe ride. Once again, we have the DNA Loft V2 midsole, and it's carbon neutral yet again. I personally like to use this shoe. I was telling Marshall and Ben that this is slowly becoming my golf shoe. I didn't show the swing for a reason. The swing's not great, but the shoe was. But you have the Gore-Tex Invisible Fit upper, which surprisingly, I'm in Arizona golfing right now, and it was 95 yesterday. These shoes are black on black. These are the exact ones I was wearing. They're extremely breathable. I didn't feel any sort of extra less breathability. It felt great. And you get the road shoe inspired breathable mesh with the mud guard. So similar to the Cascadia 18, you have the overlays that protect you from the debris and all the elements. So if you look on
Mhm.
the next slide here, you'll see my golf game is not the most consistent. So sometimes you got to go fishing for balls. My buddy snapped this picture of me when I didn't tell him to take this picture, but he thought it would be good. So sometimes you got to go fishing for balls, and I ended up with three more. So it seemed like a good investment for me. My foot was protected as always with the Gore-Tex. It wasn't wet. You can see I even got a lot of mud on it, and my sock was dry. My feet felt great, and you still have aggressive lugs, so you get that extra traction. So I wasn't gonna slide into that leg, no chance. It's only 3.5 millimeters on this one, but it's still a
Mhm.
great aggressive lug on there. And you have the Trail Track green rubber as well, which once again is 25% recycled materials, which is great. It's also a carbon neutral shoe.
Yeah, so the Divide coming in is a more price point shoe. I believe it's 140 retail, which is pretty remarkable for a Gore-Tex shoe. Kind of that city to trail shoe, maybe for somebody who's not quite ready to fully commit to being a full trail runner, or is that urban runner, right, who's going to be running on pavement out to
Yeah.
the trails. Lugs, but not so aggressive that it's not going to feel awkward, like for instance on the pavement as you approach, right? And then Dylan, you've been using this less as a running shoe, and more just as your like everyday, you said
Oh
golf
yeah.
shoe or just kind of getting around. So
Yeah, no, it looks great.
it seems like a great option for folks, looking just to get into Brooks and sort of understand a shoe with the Brooks technology in here.
Yeah.
So that's the Divide. And next, let's cruise on over to pavement. And with this other sort of absolutely iconic shoe, the Ghost, right? And if we work in the outdoor industry, if you work in the running industry, you know the Ghost. It's not new.
Yeah,
So
so the Ghost 16, like Marshall was saying, this is probably the most, if not one of the most popular running shoes out there for good reason. So this shoe, I personally like to use it. The beautiful thing about this shoe is that it has a 12 millimeter offset, so it puts a little bit less strain on your Achilles, which is nice because I got a lot of ankle injuries, and it feels really good. However, the difference between this and the trail shoes is you'll see we have the DNA Loft V3 midsole. So what that is, it's a nitrogen injected midsole, so it's lightweight, super plush. I feel a lot more energy return when I'm running in this shoe. And yet again, it's another carbon neutral shoe. Brooks really tries to reduce our impact on the environment. And Courtney, you can see her again. She loves this shoe so much she wanted to eat it for her birthday, so she made a cake out of it. I love this photo because I don't know if my baking skills are quite up to par with her, but it's a great shoe so much you could eat it.
yeah, and this is the shoe Courtney actually, and reason we're referencing Courtney because she was on the call this morning, but I think this is the shoe she ran across the country, and so it took her a long ways across the country, and really there's a lot built into this. So we're getting a little more engineered upper here, right? So what does an engineered mesh upper mean?
Yeah, so the beautiful thing about the engineered air mesh upper is that, like it says, you blend the structure and the stretch. So in high wear areas, for example, in the pivot points, you're going to get a little bit more stretch so it doesn't wear out quicker. But in the places where you need a little bit extra structure, maybe a little bit extra protection, it's a more structured upper, which is kind of unique among a lot of other shoes. And it's something great that Brooks does. And the Gore-Tex Invisible Fit works perfectly with that.
Right, so not a monolithic upper, but you can actually engineer into zones as these are custom knit for each shoe, which is a really cool technology to be able to add into this the Ghost here. And then looking at this outsole, right? Gone are the lugs,
Yeah.
but there is definitely a stride pattern kind of built into this shoe.
Yeah, yeah. So you see how you kind of transition smoothly from the heel to toe. It's more of like a S-shaped curve. The segmented crash pad, it allows for you to kind of work with the shoe a little bit more. Some of the other models out there kind of work for you a little bit, and the shoe works with your stride. And then we have that RoadTac rubber that, I mean, Courtney ran across the country in it, as we were just talking about. It's extremely durable rubber that we make in-house, and it works extremely well with this
Mhm.
segmented crash pad.
Bruce asks about, he has customers who are daily walkers, right? Not runners, but walkers. Is the Ghost popular amongst that set of athletes?
Yeah, so the Ghost is The Ghost is a great shoe for every, I mean, running, walking, whatever you're doing. We also have another model called the Ghost Max, which is very similar to the Ghost. It's just obviously maximized. It has a rocker technology, so it's made to kind of roll for you. That's what I was referencing, the shoes that work for you a little bit more cushion. That's unfortunately not offered in the Gore-Tex version, but maybe coming soon. But yeah, I would recommend the Ghost is a great shoe for everyday wear and tear. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've actually seen the Ghost on not only on runners' feet, on walkers' feet, but also on like medical professionals' feet, like nurses. It's a great stand around all day shoe. In fact, I've seen folks in retail working in the Ghost as well. It seems to me like just has that really nice overall fit for standing around all day, and in addition to running, it's really a do it all kind of shoe as long as you're not onto the dirt. So
Yeah.
this is the Ghost. And then new to the line this year with Gore-Tex is the Adrenaline, right? But certainly not new to Brooks. You can see there version 23. How is the Adrenaline different from the Ghost?
Yeah, so I always like to think of the Adrenaline as the more structured version of the Ghost. So we have this technology called GTS, stands for Go To Support, if you're wondering what the acronym stands for. But it has this guide rail holistic support system. And the easiest way to kind of explain that is think about when you're bowling, you put up the bumper rails. It keeps your foot, or in bumper rail terms, it keeps the ball centered so that way you don't deviate one way or another. But the beautiful thing about the guide rails is that it doesn't overcorrect anything. So they're there when you need them, but they're not when you don't. Like I said, this is the more supportive version of the Ghost. But given that it's the 23, we're still going to have the DNA Loft V2. In other words, the DNA Soft. So you get that incredible Brooks fit, feel, and ride.
So, back when I first started running, right, when you got into like a stability shoe or a support shoe, right, there was this concept of posting or, sort of creating really firm zones in the back to help correct, right? This is the more modern version of that with these guardrails. What type of runner would be looking for this updated sort of stability in a shoe?
I mean, honestly, since it doesn't overcorrect anything, anybody can run in this shoe. Like I have really flat feet, so I tend to utilize the GTS technology, but I don't necessarily need the stability. But like I said, it doesn't overcorrect anything, so it works perfect for me every day.
Mhm.
I really like all of our shoes with GTS because it just feels so good and it keeps me protected and frankly, it keeps me moving, which is what's important at the end of the day.
All right, so coming up on the edges, holding your foot secure in there.
Yeah.
And so you can point that out. I like how you called it out there with some of the graphics on the outside to help sell that and show that visible technology on the shoe.
Yeah.
And then let's take a look at the outsole of the Adrenaline, right? Really showing us that even more so just designed for pavement.
Yeah, so you'll see a very similar ride as to the Ghost. You kind of have that S shape, the natural motion of the run. But if you look at the photo there to the right, this is a little personal experiment because when Marshall and all the Gore-Tex team were telling me this shoe will keep you dry, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put it to the test. I'm a very skeptical guy until I want to prove it. So what I did was I took this shoe on a run. I live in San Diego, so I like to go on beach walks or runs, and usually I walk barefoot. But I took this shoe out for a walk or a stroll. And what I did was I had a normal non-Gore-Tex version of the Adrenaline on my left foot, as you can see there with the darker Brooks logo. And then on the right, I had the Gore-Tex model. And the difference in what you get protection in terms of the water is insane. You can see my whole foot kind of on the pavement there on my right. I only got a little bit wet where the tongue is because I mean I think I got taken out by a wave a little bit. But it is beautiful for walking on the beach, and I mean, in more rainy terrains. I was born in Oregon, or lived in Oregon, and that's where I really would utilize this shoe. But it's great for all different types of climates because there's water everywhere.
Yeah, so this shoe adds in sorry, the Invisible Fit technology, right? So that's new this season, added into the Adrenaline, which is really excited to be able to offer, this type of stability shoe with Vortex technology in it. And I really see if folks are training for marathons and they're using this shoe, right? You can use the non-Gore version maybe in the summer months, and then you can easily transition into a Gore version with Invisible Fit into those months where there might be more wet ground conditions. And it can just be a quick swap, right? You can have both in your closet. You could reach for whichever one you want for the day.
Mhm.
Down in San Diego, you were kind of telling me, that another nice sort of reason to wear this, not necessarily for the waterproofness, because not everybody's running in the waves,
Yeah.
is around that dust, right, and that
Oh
sand.
yeah. Yeah, and I forgot to mention that. That's a great point. I generally like to run right next to the beach. There's all these beautiful coastlines right there. And when you're running, there's, I mean, inevitably there's going to be some sand, debris, and stuff. And the Gore-Tex really protects you from those extra debris from getting in my socks and stuff like that to prevent any sort of rubbing. And it helps. I've really enjoyed it. And the thing is that you don't lose anything in terms of performance and breathability. So it's almost just like it's like a no-brainer. If I'm going to get extra protection, why not get it?
Yeah, kind of why not have it
Yeah.
in there? I mean, you might as well. And it
Yeah.
is cool to see how this technology has iterated forward, and it's nice to see how Brooks is integrating this into the shoes so
Yeah,
effectively.
absolutely.
So let's review. Let's take a look at what we covered today here, right? So we looked at four different shoes, two in the road category and two in the trail. So Dylan, can you give us a little executive summary, right? This is a really nice, quad of shoes that folks
Yeah.
can choose from.
Yeah, so as you can see, the Road, the Ghost, that's like your everyday do-it-all shoe. Feels great, has the normal fit feel right. It's good for anything you're gonna do. If you need a little extra support, you can move on down to the Adrenaline. It'll keep you a little extra protected with our guide rails. And then moving on to the trail side, you got the Divide, my personal favorite, the City Plus version. It's good for golfing, walking around because you don't have the aggressive lugs, or you have aggressive lugs, but not too much to where it's gonna hinder your performance at all. So it's kind of the City Plus shoe. And then you got your Do It All Trail shoe. That's good for mountains or any sort of technical terrain. And it has the Trail Adapt system in there to protect you from the extra elements. Once again, they all have the Gore-Tex upper, the invisible fit, not the booty. So it's beautiful. You don't feel it. And it's extremely breathable. But yeah.
Right, and then I do love outsoles. I think they're really
Yeah.
fascinating. It gives you a lot of insight into the intentionality of any product, any footwear product. So I often, the first thing I do on a shoe is I turn it over and I look at the outsole to really understand what is going on. And these shoes have different outsoles, and they really do paint a story, right? And that helps us
Yeah.
as like shoe detectives almost to like understand the intentionality that, and you can see that here displayed. This difference between trail and road, for instance.
Yeah.
And it's great. And Brooks just being very wise in the way you're developing these outsole technologies. So please do point that out to customers as well. I do think it helps folks to understand that intentionality. Well, Dylan, anything else you want to leave us with? Anything you're just like kind of stoked in the Brooks world these days that we have a couple minutes left? Something you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, so like I said, something that I've been really stoked on as this has been kind of a revelation for me. The Divide as a golf shoe has been incredible. But also another shoe I really want to show you guys that you guys may have heard the buzz about. This isn't Gore-Tex, but it's a great shoe. I
Now
actually
let's
got on
talk
my
about
feet.
it. Let's bring it up.
Let's
Yep.
talk about it. All right, so the Glycerin Max. This is an incredible shoe. This has been a shoe that's been years in the making. It's an incredible new technology. So I'll give you a quick little tidbit about it. It has dual cell size technology. So you have larger cell foaming. That's what the white foaming is for those super soft plush landings. But then this pink stuff that you see in the midsole and the forefoot as well, it's that smaller cell, more energy efficient foaming. This shoe has been great for my runs, walking, whatever I'm doing. It's been my favorite shoe so far, and I think it looks pretty sweet. So I recommend you guys checking it out online. It's going to be pretty hard to see in person because it's a pretty limited selection right now. But if this shoe ever comes out in a Gore-Tex, I mean, we might take over. So I just keep your eyes out for that. And as
That's
always, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah. Give us a little more info. Hold that thing back up again. And
Okay,
Cheng
yeah,
is
sure.
asking really about the stack and the drop. Just wants a little more info on that, like with the Glycerin Max, just because it is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
series.
So only a 6 millimeter drop offset. Another really cool thing about this shoe is that it has this thing called glide roll rocker technology. So you try to flex this thing and it doesn't really flex. So it has that rocker, the really rigid midsole, and you actually sit pretty deep in the midsole there, so you can get a little bit of extra protection from the sidewalls and the heel cup,
Hmm.
which is fantastic considering how high you are on the shoe.
So it's got some great energy return in it from having that stiffening plate in the front. So that's great on those race days or the days you want to go a little bit faster. Seems
Yeah,
like a
it's
pretty
it's honestly great for every day, to be honest. I tell everyone if you put one foot in front of the other, it's a good shoe for you. So
well, Dylan. As always, it's a pleasure to run through some of these products with you, hear your perspective on it, what you're learning by using these in the field, and for any of y'all out in that Southwest area, you might see Dylan at an event or at your store as he comes in. But very least, you will see a guru in your store at some point with this massive guru team that's out there helping out North America. So it's a great team. And Dylan must be thrilled to be part of it.
Yeah, no, and it was a pleasure to chat with you guys today. And if anyone has any more questions, please feel free to reach out. I'll drop my contact info in the chat so that way you guys can shoot me an email. You guys won't bug me. It's all good. I love to answer questions. So
That's awesome. Thanks, Dylan. Thanks for being
yeah.
accessible and being part of the community. Dylan, thank you so much, and really appreciate having you on the call. And Jacqueline and everybody there at Brooks. It's just been really fun to chat with y'all. So thanks,
Yeah.
and we'll see you shortly, I imagine.
Yeah, thank you. See you soon, Marshall.
All right, Dylan, take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.